is about. We want to increase awareness about adverse childhood experiences. Knowing about adverse childhood experiences gives you the opportunity to resolve whatever happened in your youth. So it's good for if you're a past survivor of childhood trauma. Figure out what it was, resolve it. You're going to have a much better future, much better relationships, much better health. For current, we want to stop violence, stop the adverse childhood experiences from occurring. And then, oh, sorry, hang on one second. I got a little thing to fix. There we go. Okay. I started playing myself in the background there. Sorry about that. And then to stop it now and prevent it going forward. How are we going to prevent it going forward? By stopping it now. That ends the whole cycle. So Michael Fox with the city of Lethbridge. Michael, you came here from the Okanagan. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so a lot of people would say, yeah, Lethbridge, highest intimate partner violence anywhere, high child adult poverty, like huge, largest in Alberta, the substance abuse disorder, huge problem there. Why would you choose to come here?
A great opportunity for work and a great community. For moving here from the Okanagan, the Lethbridge has been welcoming with open arms. We can walk, our family can walk around Lethbridge at any time of day and feel welcome. It's yeah, there's some of those stats, and there's arguments on both sides of the stats. Can they be skewed? Can they be, what's happening there? But I think every community has a root issue right now, and I thank you for themes like you're dealing with. You bring an energy into this arena that is trying to get at the root issues, and what a great thing to be dealing with. And in Lethbridge here, there's so much opportunity, and everybody I meet is so wonderful, like so nice. They really care about people. So the stats are the stats, and we have to live with them. But I'm always the glass is half full type of person. Lots of opportunity here, lots of passionate people about wanting to make the community a better place, and with the whole root on children, that is where we have to focus on. That is our future. And in Lethbridge, I think we've got a great opportunity to look at that. It's fantastic. I talked to so many people in the community since I've been here, and everybody is saying, hey, how can we make our community stronger? How can we make our community better? And a lot of focus is on the children, our next generation. So right. This is a fantastic community.
Right. So you're really not here coming despite the challenges that are here. You're here for the challenges that are here to make a difference here and making that our community a better, stronger, safer place.
Yeah, there's people before me have set the groundwork, have put a lot of blocks in place. The current administration at the city of Lethbridge, there's lots of people have done a lot of hard work, lots of community groups doing that hard work, setting that foundation that we can build on. And it's amazing the opportunity that's here. There's a lot of places that don't have the statistics that we do because they don't track the information we're tracking here in Lethbridge. And the only way we can make a difference is to understand the issue and understand where the root problems exist. And if we understand that, then we can start coming up with solutions and not allowing somebody else to focus on what those solutions are from their perspective. But we have to involve the community, and we have to have that grassroots wanting to make a difference. And that's what I've been very impressed with here at Lethbridge is there are so many people like yourself that are wanting to make that difference and wanting to make that impact and get to down or upstream to stop that 360 cycle that's going on. How do we break that? And how do we educate the public to start doing something about it? So,
yeah, exactly. I just wanted to show a little, let's see if I can find this here quick. No, that's not it. Oh, wait a minute. This one, maybe? No, that's okay. I had a little visual up that was on my desktop that oh, it was on my other computer. That's why it's not here. Anyways, it had this whole wheel about adverse childhood experiences, and it was comparing no to 4 or more that have not been resolved, right? Have not been treated. And like everything from making bad food choices, from having cigarette addictions, from having having bad relationship challenges, from having problems learning, from having problems focusing, from having problems with your health. Like every facet of your whole life was impacted. But a lot of times the trauma that a person today has experienced when they're a little person, it's ingrained in them that this is their fault. They're somehow less than a human being because, or less than a perfect human being because of the trauma that they experience. And it is not their fault. And they are enough right today. And we got to kind of get them to address and say, hey, 5-year-old Timmy who got raped by his dad, it wasn't 5-year-old Timmy's fault in any way. So Timmy, your dad was messed up, but buddy, you're okay. Let's get you, let's feel what you have to feel to heal and move on with life, right? And have the best possible life. So I think there's so much healing that can happen, and so much, as I'm with you 100%, Mike, in terms of so much opportunity to make a difference in people's lives, right?
Yeah, the trauma is real,
Yes.
and a lot of people think that, trauma is with the other side, with somebody else. Trauma is dealt with everybody. I was explained once by a guy in emergency management, and he talked about a bucket and how that bucket is slowly filling out. And if we don't have the support mechanisms to empty that bucket before it overflows, we are all going to have an issue with trauma.
Mhm.
So we need those support systems. Everybody does. And some of us are good at finding those. Others need help in finding those. And, it's even look at what's happening in the Olympics right now. Mental
Mhm.
health is actually being spotlighted for the first time. There's people saying, the stress, the pressure, all this stuff. Well, that's a form of trauma in a lot of those cases.
Mhm.
So it is a very serious issue, and we have to look at it, and we don't have to shame it. We have to be
No.
able to talk about it. We have to be able to express ourselves, and we have to allow others to express themselves in a safe environment. And
Yes.
it's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree entirely. And as safety goes up for an individual, their ability to function, to enjoy life, to have better health goes up. If as safety goes up in our community, everything in our community gets better, right? And that's and a lot of it's a feeling of safety too. Understanding, yes, there is challenges, but we have people, we have resources that can support and help, right? So
And it's having that little bit of compassion and
yes,
understanding that if we can just understand somebody's perspective and maybe change the way that we're saying something to
yes,
respect somebody else's spaces,
yes.
to allow their voice to be heard.
Ye-
I'm a white privileged male. I've been lucky in life. I can't imagine people that have had more experiences than I have with adverse things in childhood, and then trying to overcome them, because
Yeah.
everybody has them. So everybody reverts to their own past.
Yes.
But it's so important to give people space to be able to understand and have that compassion.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? There's sometimes people who think, well, I can't feel trauma about this because there's other people that experience the same thing. But it doesn't matter. Like how it impacts you. It's not the event itself, how it impacts you. As what Gabor Mate says, right? And then the second question he asks every time is, who did you tell? And what did they do? And if you told somebody and they said, oh, well, yeah, you probably deserved it, or some kind of a suggestion to take away from the trauma they've had, they might not ask anybody ever again for help. That might just end that right now, right? So to be that compassionate listener, to be able to say, oh, I'm so sorry you're experiencing this, but I want to help you, right? It sounds like you're unsafe right now. I want to help you be safe. And so here's Mike, here's my big plan. You want to hear it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. We have lovely professionals that are doing hard work with violence and child abuse and sexual child abuse and all of those things. and they're doing amazing work, and it's hard work. I think there's 1,000 Lethbridgians, 1,000 of them, who would say, you know what, I'd be willing to take a little bit of training so I have an awareness of what violence looks like, that maybe I could offer to somebody who I think is experiencing violence. Just a very, listen, you might be unsafe. I think if you are and you want to be safe, I want to help you do that. And then this person who's done the whole navigation route, knows where all the resources are, can say that, I'm not saying they have to go down and pick somebody up, or this isn't getting emergency services. This is, here's a phone, I'm going to call this person. Hey, there's a place for you here. Or there's 4 sources. I've tried 3. You know what? You need a place to stay tonight. Rotary is going to buy you a hotel room. You know, whatever, something along those lines. So you recognize it, you prevent it from occurring, if at all possible, by providing a safe place. The violence hasn't occurred. That means as well the adverse childhood experiences, which are basically kids witnessing that violence and believing this is the only way to kind of navigate life. They don't see those, and all of those negative effects never materialize, right? We can change a community drastically in a good way.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And it's about having that database where all those resources are available, and then also having that education means, so we can tell people and make it plain, this is who you call in these situations, and this is how you can help somebody out. And it's about reaching out with that hand. You're 100% correct. You know, there's stuff in sport for that sometimes, and it's getting much better, but we need that in a whole variety of ways. You know, it's a common thing I've been in municipal politics and municipal government for a long time. And, you know, we have infrastructure plans, we have planning for different zoning, everything else, but we haven't had that social network, that mental health. It's coming. In the last 5 years, I have seen people see the light going, hey, this is how we can make a difference in our community. And those lights are coming on, and you see the processes starting to change. And mental health is now at one of the front, you know, it's in the limelight now.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And some of the interventions that just caring people can do are so small. I was watching, there's this Rotary Action Group on ending family violence in Australia that I got connected with because of Rotary. So they shared with me a video that they've been airing there. And the video, one segment of it, has this woman sitting on a bus and this guy kind of sitting across from her. And the guy is like leering, like, you know, so, and you could see the woman is uncomfortable. And there's a guy, another passenger standing watching this, right? And first of all, he's going to dismiss it, you know, and they kind of give his internal chatter, right? And he says, oh, wow, he's just looking, that's okay, right? And then he looks over and says, oh, but she's really uncomfortable. So what he does, he just takes a step forward, blocks the vision between the two of them, gives them both a little look, and stands there, right? So simple thing, he just put himself in front of their view, and that solved the problem, right? Beautiful, because otherwise the guy is getting wherever he's at, it's certainly making the woman feel uncomfortable. So that's a beautiful, elegant solution that anybody can do, right? So
yeah, it's the small things in life that we do. It's the small highs we say to certain people. You know, some people, when we show a little compassion in the morning walking to work, and you see somebody that is more unfortunate than us, as part of the marginalized population, that little high in the morning might be the only smiling high that they get all day. That little bit of respect can build them up. You know, that person that's looking at somebody with like disgust, stepping in the way of that, breaking that vision up, because that helps the person that's looking, but it also helps that person that's receiving that look. And a lot of people don't think about when people are in that vulnerable state, do they really want people judging them nonstop? And and you know, how can we have that compassion just not to judge that person? They're another human being, and you know, they've fallen on rough times, and that could be me or you at any time. We're all on that little trigger line where something could happen in our life where we could be there. And you know, a lot of people don't think they could be, but we're all very close to that part. So Yeah.
Yeah, I agree entirely. Like, I mean, we're all in this together. I think COVID, one thing about COVID that it has done, it has made the awareness that we are really connected, and your health is very important to me and my health is very important to you. We keep everybody healthy. And part of that is, of course, that they make sure we get people to make sure they get fed and they get medical care and they have some place to keep them safe at the night. Right. So those are like super important type things, basics for any human that they need. Right. So, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, it is the small things that stack up and the things that help. And for a child or somebody in trouble, reaching out at those early times and interrupting that pattern is what we have to do. We have to know, recognizing the sign.
Yes.
What are those universal signs that somebody in trouble may signal to you as an adult that, hey, can you help me?
Yes.
And can you
Exactly.
intervene? And do we know what those are? And then when that happens, what are the steps that we take?
Yes.
Those are very important for us to understand in everyday life.
Definitely. But having this little bit of willingness to kind of be a little vulnerable to say, hey, I think you're in a bad place and I want to help you, that the person could get mad and say, what are you insinuating, and leave me alone. And that's okay. But to be vulnerable, to kind of extend that, and then at least have a plan to say, here's the numbers I can call if this is the situation. If this is the situation, here's the numbers I can call, right? If this isn't it, I know somebody else, right? That there's options to be of value that way, because our looking after each other is really the only way we're going to solve. Like, we can end violence for sure. Violence is not a natural thing. You've held your daughter in her arms when she was a baby. You didn't look at her and say, oh, this kid's going to grow up and beat and murder and rape people. Like, they're just full of love. That's all they are. And that's what we are, until we get conditioned that that's not the way it should be, right? That it's an aberration. Violence is an aberration, not natural. So that's the way I see it anyways.
Yeah, no, I would see that in an exact same way. And it's there are some people that have some mental illnesses that may be caused from other effects, but we also have places in society for those people, and it's making sure that they get that help that they need. And being in government, we see so many different points of view, and
Yes.
it's an honor of mine to be able to represent the people that I serve. And I've come to Lethbridge now, and I get to serve a great population of people. But talk about diverse points of view, and trying to bring them all together, and trying to make sure we try and unite in a common view, because most people all agree on what the result they want to see for a city.
Right. Everybody wants a safe community. Everybody wants healthy people, right? Who would argue about that, right?
That's right. It's just about how you get there.
Yes.
So, and that's where the complexity kicks in. And, people have been writing books on it for years. If somebody came up with that magic bullet, man, we'd all be rich, and that person would be off in the sunset, right? But nobody's come up with that. And that's the complexity, because each community is different and is made up different. And we all have similar but different issues. And it's a different challenge. Like, coming from the Okanagan has several challenges there, but they're very different from Lethbridge, what I can see. And so that means that we have to have different solutions in place for that. And
so, one thing that you alluded to already, or is just the sense of community that's here and how welcoming Lethbridge was. And I heard that actually from Shaheen Medizadeh, our chief Shaheen. He had said the same thing. He moved here and people are saying hi and bringing him over potluck, and just like being very caring and compassionate and welcoming. So that's awesome. And you've had that same experience, and that community, that working together, that's where we can really have the impact, right?
Definitely. Yeah, and I mentioned a movie to you a while ago, and it's The Mask. The Mask we live in, and what a fantastic sort of picture that I would encourage to all your listeners to watch. I think it's inspiring, and I think it speaks to my generation, at least. I remember growing up in those exact circumstances, and dealing with some of those issues. And it's interesting how we get preconditioned and in ideas. And what I see common in Lethbridge and in the prairie areas is very similar to when I lived in Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have to understand where different people are coming from. And that movie really shows some of that stuff.
Very much. And you shared that with me because I was sharing with you about the man box, which is really a different look at the same issue. We've been conditioned certain ways for a lot of, you're younger than me, but for me, like, you know, I think the messages for you were very, very similar, maybe a little bit diluted and diluted is what I'm trying to say. And for like my father, they were more like worse, and now they're getting slowly better. But I think we want to ramp that up because there's still boys, men believe you can't show emotion. You can't cry. You have to power through pain. You know, women are, you know, lesser than in some regards, right? Because if you're going to insult one of your guy buddies, you call him a pussy or you call him something to indicate that he is of a womanly nature. And that's regarded as being an insult. Well, like I'm kind of flipping this. Women are the superheroes. If you can make a human being inside your body, you're a superhero. Like it's just the contribution that women make to our society in terms of everything caring for human beings is way better than what you and I are doing, buddy. You know, yeah. So
it's phenomenal. And, you know, I am really happy to see a lot of organizations now hiring diversity and inclusion. And a lot of it is bringing in equity and, you know, not necessarily equality, but it's more of the equity part of it, and bringing that into their organizations to exactly do what you're talking about. You know, empower women, empower non-binary, empower all those people that are existing to have the freedom to express themselves and give them that space and allow for that to happen. You know, it's I know you probably in your career have faced this for sure. But in the last 10 years, I've noticed a big shift in the corporate environment that, yeah, it's okay if you're a male and you're getting emotional. And it's okay for that. And women don't have to be more man-like in a working environment, you know? And the more we can support that, I think we break down these barriers and we show our children and we show the younger generation that's okay. And that if I can learn that throughout my career and what our education was based on and the preconditioning that was done on me, and I can change, then you can change too. And it's all right to share and it's all right to be vulnerable and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's a big part that I've heard you say constantly.
Well, I think it's a key message that we have to get out because, you know, for boys that are trapped in that, here's your box, you can't be out of here. If you like sports and you're tough and you never cry and blah blah blah, then you're here. But if you like whatever artistic type endeavors, right, great. If you're a singer who wears a white shirt, you can't be in that man box. So there's all these rules associated that say you can't do these things. And one of them, the biggest one, I think, is you can't ask for help or admit weakness. And where are suicide rates highest? Young men, right? Because they're hurting, they're in pain, they're not fitting in the man box, and they can't express that. They can't ask for help. And so then the option is suicide, right, is what happens. And suicide is certainly a permanent solution to a temporary problem in most cases, right? So
yeah, and it's the pressure that's put on them. It's the trauma that we're causing these kids to deal with. It's we aren't giving them an out. We aren't giving that choice. You know, we're putting them in such a tight box that they can't move. They don't have that freedom of expression. And you know, I see a change in society, but it's not going quick enough.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
We're setting people up for failure.
Yeah, no, let's move. Let's you and I and about 1,000 other Lethbridgians move this forward a little quicker. How about that, Mike?
Hey, I'm on board with that. I think there is, like, I talked to Mike Mercado, I believe his name is
Mike Marcotte.
Marcotte, yeah, great guy, and he's talking the same language. You know, great influencer, and you know, the more people I talk to, and I can't remember all the names, but Shaheen, you mentioned Shaheen, he's on board with this, you know,
Yes.
he's, you know, and the more the city, we've got, we're trying to develop a task force at the city, and it's slowly being formed, and we're slowly working on that. But that task force, I'm guessing some sort of subgroup will be in there that is dealing with some of these issues, and saying, okay, as a community, how can we set this up for success?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how can we elevate this issue amongst sports, amongst music, blend that, get the schools involved? How can we get this message out there more? Get more people in positions of power, in positions of authority, or even in
or even just influence, right?
Yeah.
Just like, doesn't have to be, it could be just somebody who people respect, and he says, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Or he or she that you respect that person, right?
Right.
So,
and then that's what I talk about, power. That influence,
that's true.
Is that power, right? Like,
yes.
I coached a girls soccer team over in the East Kootenays for about 8-9 years. And, you know, the best thing I could say, our motto was nothing but fun. Right. And we played competitive tournaments all over Alberta, BC, down into the States. And we played all over the place. And we started, and we would just get our butts kicked all over the place. But we were there for nothing but fun. And boy, we have a great team, you know. And the biggest thing is we learned is, if we have fun as a team, we're going to excel at life. And at the end of it, we were making progress. We were winning the medals and stuff. But at the end of the day, the girls, they didn't care about the medals. They were having fun.
Yeah.
You know? And you know, we played lots of teams that were out there. You know, they just wanted to win. And the coach would come over to us after. Your girls are always smiling. It didn't matter if they were 2 down. They played as hard as they were 5 up. You know, they always were playing their hearts out. And the motto was nothing but fun. And we supported each other, and we were a family. And that type of relationship was awesome.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, and all I had there is a little bit of influence. You know, I was a coach that was able to say, hey, you know, you had a bad day. Okay, well, that's fine. Did you have fun? You know. And I think that has to be taken into sports more, because a lot of coaches focus on that negative. We have to win. You messed up. You did this, and we got to change that sort of thing in sports.
I agree entirely. I don't know if you're going to find this appropriate, but I'm going to share it with you anyways. We have a world-class shooting sport facility in Lethbridge. Were you aware of that?
Yes, I am.
Yes, and if you think of the shooting sports, safest sport, lifetime sport, family sport, right? Access for anybody. If you're in a wheelchair, you can engage in the shooting sports, right? So an amazing facility and an amazing sport, and very non-competitive, very cooperative in its nature. You're competing against yourself. You got to do the same thing 50 times. If you do it 48 times and stand next to me does it 49 times, he wins. But I didn't do what I needed to do those extra 2 times. That's the reality of it, right? So it's all on me. So anyways, a little plug for the shooting sports as being an amazing sport.
Archery too. You know, the different archery events that are around this area. You know, I've got some friends that are from Cranbrook, Kimberley area, and you know, there's one young lady that she was I think 2nd in Canada, and but she didn't care about that. She was just going out, just like you said. She was shooting against herself, and what an inspiration to others. And the way she talked to other people and stuff when she was out, it was awesome. And the archery community is amazing. The shooting community is amazing. The support they give to each other and help each other out is quite amazing. So
but as again, so it takes the best thing about the sports. In your case with the girls, it was having the activity, having the interaction, you know, having the personal growth type, you know, opportunity available to them, right? And learning how to work as a team, learning how to communicate. Those are the things that team sports, the most important thing they provide, right? Whether you won the game on December 12th, you know, in 1987, doesn't matter, but that you've gained those things from that experience is what matters, right?
Yeah, and you have a lifetime connection to others that play the sport.
Yes.
So, you know, you talk to somebody later on in life that plays tennis at a tennis club. they're there for the social after, just as much as the sport, right? Just
Yes.
like curling. Curling is a great one for that. You see everybody curling, but the social afterwards, oh, like, get out of people's way. They're getting to that social, and I think that's it's key for kids to understand. Hey, we're doing this for life. It's not those short-term goals.
Yes.
This is you're being conditioned for life, in the sense that you're understanding that team environment, that support network that is key for all of us. Whether you're an artist and you're going to an art gallery and you're around all the artists that you're around, or you're into drama and you're around that drama crew, we all need those support networks, and a lot of us think similarly, so we can support each other.
Exactly. And the other part about that, Mike, too, as well, is that instead of focusing on the end goal, right? Like, there's kids whose parents are saying, you're getting in the NHL, and they're drilling it's not for the kids' benefit. It's for what the parents want. So even if it's nothing that will become a professional or a paid thing, how about the enjoyment of doing the activity, right? How about that? That's important. Like my thing, I've always liked to sing, but now I'm like jumping in. I sing like an hour a day, and usually I stream it. And for me, is there a big goal in Vine? No, I just enjoy the activity. I love how it feels in my body. I love expressing whatever kind of emotion, or, that kind of a thing, or telling a story that I think is informative or edifying or educational or whatever. And so that for me is an enjoyable thing. No goals associated with it, just an activity that for the journey we're on right now, I'm enjoying doing. If somebody else likes it, great. If they don't, that's okay. Right. So.
And then now that's awesome. Like, it's, my dad, when he moved out to Nova Scotia to meet us, and at the time he played no instruments. So he gets out there and he goes and listens to a guy that plays the ukulele. Loved it. So he joins the seniors band playing the ukulele. Next thing you know, he has harmonica, he's got a couple other stringed instruments, and they're going to other senior homes and they're playing just for fun, right? And
nice.
Everybody's having a riot. And same sort of thing. They were just loving that moment in life.
Yes.
And the people they could share that joy with.
Yes.
Exceptional.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So again, like the activity for the joy of the activity itself, that's super important, right? And then basically working with and connecting with others that have that same passion, that same joy, that same interest. That's amazing stuff. So
yeah, it's sort of this new philosophy that you hear a lot of people talking about. And I thought about it really good. Why do we always focus on people's weaknesses, and that you got to get better at those weaknesses?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's the wrong frame of mind we should have. We should say, let's concentrate on your strengths, and we're going to make you the best you can be. Let's focus on, because the reason why they're weaknesses is because you don't like doing that.
Yes.
You aren't hardwired to love that. So, let's focus on your strengths, and we will find a way to work with your weaknesses.
Yes, I agree entirely. And on that same vein, focus on the uniqueness, the unique talents the person has. Don't try and push them into this box. Say, oh, wow, these are the talent sets you have. Well, how about where would be the right fit for you, right? That's kind of what we need to do, as opposed to, oh, well, you got to change the fit in this box. How can your package that you're here offering to the world, how can you best actualize it, and how would the world most benefit from getting you in the right place, right? So.
And as parents, we like to push ourselves on our kids sometimes.
Yes, we do.
Sense. And what we have to do is we have to take a step back and look at, what are the strengths of this individual, of this person, and then how can we support that person to be the best in what they're being, and what supports do they need to be successful? Like, forget about my trauma and my past that I'm gonna launch onto you. We got to focus on your strengths so you don't have those same trauma.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. And that's actually, since I've been researching this and trying to make a difference here, understand and provide this awareness, I probably study about 20 hours a week on this subject. And I just finished a course through Gabor Mate called The Wisdom of Trauma. And in there, he made it real clear, and I didn't get this, but it makes really good sense that we as human beings have attachment and authenticity, two competing type things. And if as a person who's trying to do their authenticity, if we lose the attachment, if our parent disapproves of this, of whatever way we're trying to be our authentic self, well, we shut down, right? Because we need the attachment more than we need the authenticity. But that kind of comes at the compromise of who we are and who our best self is, right? And then, so if I was a parent today, well, I am a parent, but not a parent with any influence at this time. But if I could take parenting over and do a better job for my daughter, Caitlin Nicole Friesen, PhD candidate, soon to be Dr. Caitlin Nicole Friesen, if I could do the parenting thing with her again, I think I would be even more like aware of that she's different than me, and that's okay. Not trying to make her or mold her or direct her. Just say, okay, that's how you are. Great. Let's find the way that you fit, right? Like I would do a better job at it this time, I think. So
yeah, a lot of parents go, why do my kids leave when I'm 16, 17 to find themselves? It's because we didn't give them the freedom to find themselves in the first place. So they have to go out and find themselves because we've been putting them in these boxes. We've been pushing them down, And,
yes.
They'll come back. Once they've found themselves, they'll come back and say, hey, you weren't always right. You're human too. Well,
but not only that, but in my case anyways, from about I'd say 13 years old to 28, my dad was the biggest idiot in the world, right? And then at 29, he's like, oh, he actually knows some shit, right? Like this guy's got some things figured out, right? And then for the rest of my life, I had a much better appreciation for him. But that was it, right? He had a view for how I should be. And then if I wasn't following the view that he had, well, then I would lose that approval. And so then I don't stay what's true on my path. I kind of deviate from my path to get close to what his vision of what I should be like, to maintain that connection, right? And in reality, I should have had both. I should have had a dad who said, I had a wonderful father, he was a great man, but I should have had a father that said, I recognize this kid is different than me. I'm going to give them whatever opportunities to try, and let's figure out what he is. Why was he put on this world? Let's figure that out. Let's help him explore that, right?
That's right. And if we don't get approval from our parents, that's when we seek other approvals, and that's when we sometimes get into trouble, and that leads into other areas because we're looking for that approval on who we are as a person. And sometimes we can't change that, no matter how hard we try. And then the more we get knocked down, the more we get beat up, and the more stuff that piles on that, eventually there's a breaking point.
Yes.
And, that's what you're saying. It's awesome. Yeah.
And when you're seeking connection with others, right? When you're seeking approval of others, if you're a jock, you're going to be with your group of athletes, and that's going to be your set, right? If you're an academic, well, you've got your set that way, right? If you're the drama people, you got your thing that way. If you're none of those things, if there's not identifiable group, then in my case, the drug group was my buddies, right? I was accepted by the druggies. So I did a shit ton of drugs when I was younger because that was my family. That's who accepted me, right?
Well, and that's also how you got the approval, is through that substance.
Exactly.
Right? Because you didn't fit in anywhere. So how did you fit in? You had to have something, right? And
yes,
the jocks, everybody else, they shunned you. They didn't welcome you in. They didn't respect the differences. And that's what has to change in just our perception and how our children grow up. We have to say, hey, no, accept everybody for who they are.
Yes, agreed. And also to it's shocking things like where sports allow a person excelling at sports sometimes allows a person to treat others that less than human beings, right? Like what I'm thinking of is, the jock on campus who, rapes somebody, and it's like, oh, well, he's going to lose his scholarship if he raped her, that. So it's just, but to say, well, this person's needs don't matter as much as this person's need because they're athletically talented, right? That doesn't make any damn sense.
No, and we see that in society every day.
Yes.
Like I see it out in the streets of Lethbridge, and sometimes I'm like, why are we treating people that way? They are a person. Yes,
Yeah.
we have differences, but we shouldn't treat or speak to them in that way. And
No.
you know, I see that all over Canada. Like that is something that we have to start changing, and it starts with conversations like we're having today. And the more we can spread that word, the more we can get people to have that. I keep on coming back to this word compassion, but it's so key. You have to have that compassion, understand somebody else's, you know, the songs that talk about walking in somebody else's boots.
Yeah.
Just have that perspective for a little bit, right? Like,
Yes.
it's so key. And it's interesting because when I go to work, I'm sometimes in a suit, I'm sometimes dressed up. And when I stop and I talk to people, the reaction I get when I'm talking to them is so much different when I'm not working and I'm out just in my street clothes, my grubby stuff, you know, and I walk up and I'm having a conversation then, and the way they open up to me, that marginalized population, because people that are more in suits and stuff seem to have an oppressive point of view on them. So they have their guards up right away, where if I stop and I'm dressed different, like let's stop that stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
Let's treat them like it shouldn't matter what I'm wearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm always going to treat them the same. And I just wish that everybody could have that understanding that, you know, we're the ones that are causing this cycle to continue for
Yes.
for these people that are in need.
Yes, definitely. And when you're talking about, you know, people in need in our community, that's mostly Indigenous people, right? That's our reality, right? And the whole where for 6 generations we've tried to destroy them as a people and destroy their culture. No big surprise they've got social problems as a result of that, and individual development problems, and breaking the cycle of parent to child, you know, keep on breaking that cycle. That they have huge challenges is no big surprise, right? That we look upon that they're having challenges and they are somehow weak or ineffective, or, you know, suck it up, and, you know, like that's bizarre, right? Like that level of trauma that we don't acknowledge and try and make better and try and have a different perspective on our Indigenous brothers and sisters. That's got to happen. Like you know, we really need, and they have some unique perspectives. When we briefly talked about diversification, right? You think of diversification and you think of Indigenous folks and how they manage the environment, right? And they managed, you know, the road, you know, using their migratory patterns to go to access these resources at these times and these resources at these times, you know, in great symbiosis with the environment, right? You think about how they raise children, right? They'd have, you know, 40 people in a tribe, and for every child, there's like 4 adults, right, that are looking after that child, making sure that child, if that child whimpers, they get held and, you know, held and kissed and hugged and said, you're wonderful. You know, that kind of just, they had so many good things happening, like in terms of that, in terms of environmental impacts, in terms of being better humans, and in terms of having a very stepped process of human development. You know, when Jimmy Two Shoes is 4 years old, this is the society he's going to be a part of, and at 8 years old, this is, I'm making up these things. I just know there's steps. What the steps are, I don't know. But basically, they had these rites of passage at the end of which you're a fully functioning member of the tribe, right? You're a community member. You know what to do. You know what your role is. You know the difference you're going to make, right?
And they embraced the differences in their culture.
Yes.
Which is a key part. People that were different were respected, were put on that pedestal, were honored in a lot of cases. You know, I've learned so much since I've been here from the Blackfoot, and you know, my interactions with a few of their elders and some of the people I work with, and I learned so much in the Okanagan from the Splat scene and the OKIB. I remember talking with one elder, and they said, you know, we aren't asking to go back in the future or back in the past. That's not possible. What we have is this is the colonial vision. This is our vision. And they're 2 halves of a canoe. We have to blend those. And the only way we're going to move forward is if we're all paddling in the same direction.
Nice.
And that is what we have to do. We have to respect the heritage, respect the culture, respect their ways, and learn from everybody's ways. Lethbridge has a lot of also immigrants coming into our community.
Yes.
And the knowledge is vast. So let's take the best parts out of everybody's culture and let's celebrate it. And
Definitely.
let's get rid of the oppression, the stigma, the fear, and let's celebrate each other. And I think that would take us a long way.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And the compassion for others and the compassion for yourself too, right? Allow yourself to be the perfectly imperfect human being that we all are, right? That's okay. And just like go with it. Be you, and don't worry. The people that like you are going to like you, and the people that don't are going to ignore you. So that's okay.
And we're human. We're all human.
Yes.
What I believe today, as I learn, I'm going to change. The best teacher for me through my life has been my daughter. She has taught me so much, right? She looks at the world through a different lens. My wife, the education I've got from my wife, is amazing, and it's mind altering. The person I was when I met my wife, and then when I had my daughter, I'm a different person now from all the stuff that has changed me. And all I can do is hope that I'm better and I'm making that difference for others. And trying to pass that on the same way it was passed on to me.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful. Anything else that we need to discuss? Burning things that we need to discuss, Michael?
Well, I'd love to solve all the issues.
It would solve all the issues, yeah. Oh, by the way, I've done this. I remember I was telling you all the research I've been doing on this. Part of the research I find is, how do you self-optimize? Let's say you find yourself in a low mood, or you find yourself in a low energy, or those kind of things, or you find yourself repeating thoughts that are negative in nature, that are you're such an idiot, blah blah blah. So I've learned some things through this process, is how people heal, right? And so on Thursday night, if anybody's interested, Scott Sweetman and I on the show Hopifiers will be discussing polyvagal theory. I learned this, and then in retrospect, I said, oh, I've been doing this. I didn't realize it. So anyways, I'm going to share what I know about polyvagal theory, and I think it's something that is an amazing tool to self-optimize. You could call it self-regulate, but basically, you're in a place you don't want to be. This present moment isn't all that nice, and then you flip the switch that you will have to discover what your switch is, and your energy level has gone up, and your focus and your attention in this present moment has gone up. That's a pretty beautiful thing. So anyways, I want to share that on Thursday night on Hopifiers. So come and join Scott Sweetman and myself, and we're going to have that discussion.
That's awesome. That sounds like a great topic.
Yeah, it's fun. I've been learning so much that Dr. Bruce Perry, Dr. Gabor Mate, that Bessel van den Koek, Bessel, that's his name, Bessel van den Koek, and Eckhart Tolle are like four that I've studied extensively, and have a really good feel for what they're doing. And then the polyvagal stuff is all relatively new, because I was in this kind of over my head, a World Trauma Summit, but it was actually for providers, for this, the therapists and such, right? But whatever, they allowed me to register, so I did it. And a lot on EMDR, which I understand fairly well, but then a lot Peter Levine on somatic experience, and then the polyvagal theory, and then the next is more like how you work, how you manage yourself to get into the ventral vagus, which is the one where you are, clear in your mind and your body's relaxed, your body's restoring, your body's fixing stuff, your body's just getting everything back in order, right? It's resting and recovering. It's not alert and looking for threats. It's relaxed and safe and taking care of itself. And so that's what we're going to talk about on Thursday.
Awesome. I think I'm going to send you a link too for the Conscious Leadership Group. They do a quick 2-minute little drawing, and it talks about being above the line or below the line, and how we're hardwired to drop below the line, and how we can do things to keep us above the line and the different things.
Oh,
It's a really quick 2-minute sketch. I show it to all my teams. Anywhere that I'm talking, I always start off with that. I love the clip. And whenever I'm down, I've been doing it for 7 years now. And whenever I need that little fix to remember, hey, I got to get back above the line. And
yeah, nice.
I'll have to send that to you.
That's beautiful. I would love to see that. Can I share one thing that I think has been a life changer for me as well? And I think this might be original. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody say it before. But basically, if you just make the decision that you are your favorite human being, you just decide that. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to earn it. You just decide, I am my favorite human being. That's a pretty straightforward decision, right? And making that decision, immediately your self-talk gets better. You don't, drop a cup and say, oh, you freaking idiot, why, blah, blah, blah. Say, oh, hey, buddy, you dropped a cup, let's pay attention. Let's get, and then you move on, right? So it's a really easy way to improve your self-talk, like right now.
That's an awesome advice. Yeah, because, I remember, evenings and I'd be out having a conversation and then I beat myself up for something that I said.
Yes.
But we're human.
Yes.
You're going to say some things that make you uncomfortable. Don't lose 2 nights sleep. You're going to function less. And that's exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. You take a little mistake and compound it into a huge mistake by worrying about it. And the person probably who you're worried about, they probably forgot about it. Like, a lot of times you're worrying about something and 2 minutes later, they moved on. Right. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Hey, Mike, I think unless you have any parting words for us, I think we're good to kind of wrap things up here. This was a lovely discussion. I think you're a beautiful human being. I'm so happy that you're part of our community. I think you're going to do amazing things in our community. I want to support you in doing those amazing things. And so, please call on me if there's a role I got to play. I'm ready.
Hey, I appreciate everything you do for the community and the energy you bring into this and your voice and the way you're speaking relentlessly all the time on this on a schedule. And you're passionate. You're putting your heart and soul into this. It's amazing, and I will take you up on those words.
In our lifetime, Michael Fox, we are going to see huge changes in our community, huge changes to the better. We're going to see health go up for people. We're going to see violence go down. We're going to see addiction reduce. We're going to see crime reduce. And we're going to see health and people who are able and willing and wanting to contribute to their community increase. It's going to happen. All right. Keep well, my friend.
Excellent. You too.
All right. See ya.
Bye.